everybody, this is the Left-Handed Lady today coming at you with our April plan with me. We're going to be working a lot in watercolors this week and this month because I have a lot of spare time on my hands, so I've been playing with watercolors. I am just taking some water and a palette and a spare sheet of watercolor paper and trying to figure out my plans for the red on the building and the plant colors for this month. We're going to be working a lot with our ability to change things after we paint. So my rough sketch underneath, I've erased any lines that I don't necessarily need. And I'm just going to go over with my block colors of watercolor, and then once I'm done I can go in and reactivate any watercolor with just some water and add in details or alter the way that I painted it, and it really allows you to be creative and change the way that you were painting or how you see the painting once it's dry. And I'm just mixing a brown and some red together and pretty saturated with water. I don't want it super dark because this paint that I'm using tends to darken even more once dry. Most watercolors are that way. Pretty much any paint will darken as it dries, and I don't want this building to take away from everything, but I do love that aesthetic of there's a building behind all of this. I wanted a wilderness theme, but I didn't want it to be too unrealistic. Taking your time doing little brush strokes and making sure that you have the same color, and it's not necessarily even, but it looks natural. It looks geographic and natural. It needs to look like either stone or painted or weathered wood. So taking little brush strokes, taking your time, makes it so much easier to go through and build such a beautiful background. Now this month's animal is going to be a little bunny, and these are some of my favorite things to draw and paint, do really anything. They're such simple forms and they're so cute and adorable. So as you can tell, I'm painting this red around it, being really light because I'm probably going to go back in with the red once I've finalized the solid color of the inside of the bunny. And as you can tell, I left that and I'm going into my brown. I kind of wanted that to dry a little bit so I could add a little bit more detail before I moved on to my lighter colors. So I am taking that deep brown in my palette and really saturating it with water. I wanted it to be really wet because I wanted that streakiness of more of like a terracotta pot with the brown dirt mixed into it for my window seal fixture. So as you can tell, I'm darkening it as I go. It makes it look a little bit more natural, more like sand tone, grainy, clay pot-esque. Now, I know that my camera is slightly cut this off, but I'm taking a light gray and I've got a small rectangle that goes off of the page on this, and you'll see in a little bit, but I made like a door to the house. Taking that light gray and just lightly painting it all over that section, and then I'm taking it more saturated and doing those little indentions on a door. So the little pieces that indent to make it look like it's more three-dimensional. Now I'm taking a little bit of my light tan and white and mixing them together and just roughly laying out my bunny rabbit, and I'm going to go over it multiple times with different layers to add the different colors of saturation on the ears and where his legs crease. And then, as I said, I'm going to go back in with that red, touch up a little bit, and now I am going to go in with some green and base out my bottom grass line. This is another thing, just like the brick, that I'm going to come back in and build on top of. I just want to lay out that base color before I add detail on top of it. Just makes it a lot easier to get really good saturated colors and kind of block out where you want to paint this. Not really using a plan, just kind of making a grassy space. I'm going to go back in with more of a upward brush stroke and tinier brush strokes to make more of a grass. Then I am taking and getting my clay in my paint pot wet, but not too wet to where it's like diluted. And as you can tell, this green is the same green that I've been using, but it's so much more pigmented because I'm using way less water. And that's what I'm using with the smallest brush I have to make these stems. And then I'm doing that same technique, barely any water on the brown, to making it really pigmented, and using just a tiny brush to add my middles of my flowers. We're just going to be doing simple little daisies, so yellow, light yellows mixed together, simple little petals. Very easy. We've gone over this before. They're one of my favorite flowers because yes, they're simple and they look simple, but they're fun and they're easy to do, and no matter what I do with them, they always make me happy. So you're gonna get more daisies out of me until I find a flower that brings me more joy. But like I said before, I sketched this out and then I erased unnecessary lines. So I free-handed all of the flowers in the pot, which you can do, or you can sketch them. I had sketched them before, kind of laid out what I wanted, and then I erased them. I have a pretty good memory when it comes to my own sketching, so I kind of knew what I was doing. But to me, it gives me a little bit more freefulness whenever I don't have a sketch underneath it. I let the paint do the work, and sometimes that turned in some really beautiful looking flowers. I'm going back into that really saturated green and my tiny little brush and just making the stems. We're going to do those first with just tiny little leaf accents. Don't go into too much detail because we're going to block this out in black later. Now I'm going in with that same concept of really saturating that brush with color and not water. And I'm going in with that same brown, but see how much darker it is on top to add the dimension of the planter. That is what I love about watercolors in general, is just to take away or add of water, and you can have a whole new experience. This one palette could have 80 million colors if you really wanted it to. And that's what I love with experimenting with different colors and figuring out different saturations. It's okay to work with that. Now, I was missing my purple and blues. I know that I try really hard not to put too much purple and blues in my spread because they're my favorite color, but I had to. So I swiped some purple on there for the April logo, but shoot me. I can't stay away from blue. It's my favorite color. Just be lucky the house wasn't blue. Now I'm taking a really light gray and going in and shadowing out the window frame and the cross posts of the window. You don't have to be super precise about this because, like I said, we're going to block everything out with black pen later, but it really gives that good dimension. Now this is a prime example. I just went through and added a little bit of water and edged up that line that looked a little too harsh above the bunny. Love watercolors. It dried. I made a mistake, came back with some water, and I fixed it. So now I'm going to go back in with my Sharpie once everything's dry, which it dried pretty quickly, and I'm going to outline my little bunny. It's a pretty simple little drawing, and I'll come out later this month with a how to draw my bunnies, so look forward to that. But for right now, I'm just going to be alternating between my Tombow dual tip fine liner and outlining things, and also using my Sharpie no blade pen. I think it's the 1.0 nib, I believe. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's the bigger nib. I love these because they go over the paint so well that I just don't even have to work hard. Like some pens, when you're writing over paint, they just give you a lot of issues. They jam up, they clog up, or they just don't write the way that they normally do. And these do not. They are my staple for going on top of any kind of paint. We're going to use those same markers to go over our calligraphy for the words April. And we are going to go down the left-hand side like we normally do for our tracker setup. I'm just going to take a small detail pen and we're just going to give ourselves a little detail with those daisies. We're going to add a little bit stemming to the leaves, add a little bit more details to the petals and the stamen, and that is really going to bring this picture together. Right now, yeah, it looks rough. Your picture is not going to be perfect with just paint on it. In my opinion, I think outlining makes it 10 times better. So just play with it. Like I said, sketch beforehand, paint on top, then outline, or freehand paint, then outline, or just outline. Whatever gets you creating. So counted 1 through 30 on the left-hand side of my page, and that's going to be my trackers. As you know, this is my favorite place to set it up. Right at the beginning of the month, I always fall back to it every single day of the month, so it's really nice to have something beautiful and entertaining to watch whenever I'm sitting there and tracking all of my habits. That's why I went into such detail and artisanal into this spread, because I'm going to be looking at it a lot. We all know we're on house quarantine, and it's not fun, but it's what we need to do, and so I'm making the most of it. We're creating together. We are creating joy and happiness and safety by being home and with our families, those of us who can. I am wishing safe wishes to everybody who is experiencing hard times during this. I know that my family's on a stress high, and as well as most of the families in the United States and abroad, and it sucks. There's no better way to say it than it sucks. But the only thing we can do is just try to keep smiling. And my favorite thing to do is keep creating. So I hope that y'all will join me in making this world just a little bit more beautiful, a little bit more creative. So like I said, after things dry, I like to go back in with more of a saturated color and a finer brush, and I'm just gonna take those light brush strokes and make the grass a little bit more detailed. So as you can tell, it's really adding a dimension with that faded green in the background and then these really sharp images in the front, allowing your mind to think that the grass is more three-dimensional than it actually is. And it's a really easy thing to do, and yet it turns out pretty well. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this spread. I wish that I had done a couple different colors of green, but I felt like I used green a lot last month, so I kind of strayed away. I should have added a couple more greens into those stems and leaves just to give it a little bit more dimension. So if y'all end up recreating this and choose to use more greens or even different colors in general, I'd love to see your recreations. So just comment down below or tag me in anything that you create. And now we're going to flip over and work on our monthly spread. So I'm using those same colors and the same methods to make a little planter on the top of my Monday and Tuesday boxes because they're lower than my other days of the week, and I thought it was a really cute little added bonus. I'm going to be doing the same layout except for no house on this page because it's just a little bit too busy, and this is a really busy page already, especially by the end of the month when it's all filled out. I'm going to sit here and let y'all watch, experience the creativity, and figure out ways that y'all can do the same and change it up a little bit or use these methods to create something new. It's a really simple spread, and I would like for y'all to just enjoy it. Let me know what y'all think, and let me know if you have any questions on how I did anything. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a how to draw the bunny next week. Also, I would like you to pardon the little wispies of hair that keep getting in the camera. Lord have mercy on my soul. I cannot keep my hair from getting out of the camera shot. I do not know what it is, but the humidity around here has been killing me. So pardon it, please. Just act like it's not even there, because I will try to. As you can tell, I am adding in some pink flowers because I felt like there were too many flowers on the page to just do yellow, and without that red in the background, I needed a little bit other color contrast. So you can choose to add in whatever color you want. Of course, I went with a purpley pink because that's my favorite color of flower. So, besides yellow, honestly, my favorite colors are tulips. My favorite flowers are yellow tulips, but I needed a different color to add into this spread to make it a little bit more vibrant. So let me know below what y'all would have put. Would you put purple flowers, or maybe just kept them all yellow and different shades of yellow? Now, as you can see on the left side of this page, you can tell that the page is slightly buckling because of how much water saturation we painted on the other side, and that is going to happen. That's why I do recommend these Scribble That Matter journals, because they have really good, very, very durable pages in them. Even though you can tell that mine's buckling, once I get it all closed up and with the elastic on it for a day, it will be perfectly fine, rebooted, and I'm able to write on top of it just fine. It doesn't affect the ability for the pins to write on top of it whenever it's buckled like that. If you invest in a good journal, these creations are going to be so much easier to create. Coming from experience, buying the cheapest journal it may be easier on your wallet, but you'll get frustrated as an artist because your creations are going to destroy cheaper paper in the long run. So if you're going to invest in doing watercolor in your bullet journal, you need to invest in a very good, high quality journal, like a Scribbles That Matter A5 journal. They have 160 .GSM paper. It's very heavy paper, really good for watercolors, markers, those kind of things. Now this right here, as you can tell, I'm going over and over and over again on that one flower, and I had to switch to my Papermate pen because when you're writing on top of paint like I am, sometimes your pens just can't handle it for long periods of time. They tend to dry out or get caked with the remnants of paint that's left not dry or anything like that. So it's best to switch it out if you need to. Wipe off the other pen, let it rest, let the ink settle back down, and give it another try with a different pen. As you can tell, this Papermate Inkjoy, sorry, is working so much better because it hadn't been used on the paint previously. So the Sharpie is great, and I had used it on the whole page prior, so it's not a bad pen. It just, most pens can't last that long on top of paint. Just doing my normal monthly spread here. With my Monday through Sunday spread, I know some people do Saturday through Sunday. Monday through Sunday works best for me because that's my work schedule. I have the weekends off. I am going ahead and blocking out using those same colors from our illustration, the important events or bills that I need to do on those important dates, such as church, bills due, different holidays, work events, those kind of things. It's really nice and fun to coordinate your color page with your illustrations. Really makes your calendar look like it's a part of your illustration. It's one of my favorite things to do. And going right over it and filling in all of my things. I have my insurance just went up, so that's why you saw me going back in my folder to look at when I wrote down the notes of what my insurance was going to cost me this month. I love having my bullet journal. It has everything I need anytime I need it all in one spot. This is my favorite part about having this creative book in my hands. And that's all of it. That's our spread for April, our month spread, and our illustration. I'm so happy that you decided to join me today. I would like you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember to never stop creating.